Wealthy white Baton Rouge residents have won a decade. Oh, they've been at this for decades. A decades-long battle to split from the majority black city to form their own suburb following a state Supreme Court ruling. After reversing a lower court's decision on Friday, the Supreme Court ruled 4-3 in favor of the incorporation of St. George, which will form in Baton Rouge, in southeast Baton Rouge. This is the culmination of citizens exercising their constitutional rights. We voted and we won, Andrew Murrell, one of the leaders of the St. George campaign, said in a statement following the victory. You got to be a special type of bored to do some shit like this. How bored are you to spend decades to make your own suburb or your own city? Like, what's the point? I can see if it's like you settle in new land or something, but like, what's the point? Like, oh, whatever. Let's keep reading. After reversing a lower courts, okay, we just read that. Now we begin the process of delivering on our promises of a better city, he added. We welcome both our friends and foes to the table to create St. George. I mean, I guess they can. I mean, but I just like, why you can't just move somewhere else? Like, why the hell you can't just move to another suburb if it's really that big of a deal? Because you still surrounded by the same people that you were surrounded by before. Like, changing the name of the location you're in doesn't change the people who live around you. This is just silly. But hey, I guess when hey, do what you want. Is this St. George? Much like with the case with Central, the last incorporated city to be born in East Baton Rouge Parish, the St. George initiative began with hopes of residents starting a new school district before ultimately deciding to create their own city. Although the St. George supporters failed to garner enough votes in 2015, 4 years later, the initiative won the election before it was stalled by a lengthy court battle. This reminds me of this city called Newtown that was in Missouri. I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, and like somewhere like right outside the city, well, not the city limits, because now when you say St. Louis or Chicago, you're talking about the city and all the surrounding suburbs. That's basically what metropolitan areas are now. It's not just the city, it's the city and all the suburbs surrounding it. So like St. Louis City, then you got Ferguson, Clayton, Hazelwood, and you got Jennings and University City, and you got, I haven't lived there in a while. There's more count. Ladue, you got Ladue, you got so many places there. Webster Groves, all of that is St. Louis. And like right outside of the city limits, there was this place called Newtown. And it was something straight out of like an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Like it was a decent town. You know, it was a decent town, but it just looked like everyone there was a robot. Like it was too perfect. It was like a community in and of itself that was too isolated. I don't know. It was weird. It was nice, but it was like, why did you do this? But I don't know. Too much money and too much time. Although St. George supporters failed to garner enough votes in 2015, 4 years later, the initiative won the election before it was stalled by a lengthy court battle. Sharon Weston Broom, the mayor/president leading the combined Baton Rouge and East Baton Rouge parish governments, has sued the St. George organizers, arguing that the split would siphon more than $48 million in annual tax revenue from the local government. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, how bored do you have to be determined? Oh, St. Joseph? Yeah, I know. You said you was kidnapped in St. Joseph. Oh yeah, East St. Louis is definitely East St. Louis is terrible. East St. Louis is right over the bridge. East St. Louis is in Illinois. St. Louis is like right on the border of Missouri and Illinois. And then East St. Louis is right across the bridge. And woo, you do not want to go there. It ain't no good reason for you to go to East St. Louis. Like none. It is rough in East St. Louis. It is motherfucker, man, it is poor in East St. Louis, like a whole nother level of poor. Like not your typical hood poor. Like there's the hood and then there's East St. Louis hood. And then there's other countries. Stole me hitchhiking. What? Damn, Ariola, it was like that. You had shit, right. Good thing you here. I'm glad you still here and kicking. Cause yeah, St. Joseph is somewhere like in the middle of Missouri-ish, I think. I can't quite recall, but I've been there before. I don't remember why, but I've been there. But yeah, this is interesting right here. And again, this is some of the reasons why I'm like, you got to be bored to do this, because it's like, why $48 million in annual tax revenue is a big deal. The opposition also argued that St. George would not have the proper budget to operate on its own. City planning is important. Justice William J. Crane, the author of the majority opinion, disagreed with the city's assessment and claimed that the thriving St. George could even become an asset to the declining Baton Rouge. Despite her long-standing position, Broome conceded the battle on Friday following the Supreme Court's ruling. The NAACP, however, maintained its fears that the formation of St. George would negatively impact Baton Rouge's majority Black community. Quote, the St. George plan poses significant risk to our education system, threatens the continuity of critical programs, and challenges community representation, the local chapter of the NAACP said in a statement Monday, quote, the creation of a new municipality introduces considerable uncertainty. He just said the same thing. Well, I guess that's interesting. We'll keep our eyes on it. They was like, we got to get away, man. We got to form our own city.